Good evening and welcome. We are broadcasting live from the Harley Davidson Museum. We were downtown Milwaukee, and good music, good people, and great bikes. And we are sitting in the heart of the museum, a place that not a lot of people get a chance to really go and visit very often, which is up here in the storage facility. And I'm joined by Bill, and people call you Rodencal, 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 Road Hard, Road Put Away Wet,
Rapunzel, everything. It's Rodencal.
Rodencal, and then we are here with Bill Davidson, obviously, as well. And first of all, guys, thanks for having me. This has been a dream. So,
well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Let's start with the company itself and where we are in today's day and age, and how far not only has it come, but obviously, I think you guys are a lot like car manufacturers at this point. You only have so much product. There's been a delay. COVID hit. So let's start there, Bill, and let's talk about, and I'll talk with Bill Davidson first on this, since we are the three Bills, but just where the company is right now, because it was a really weird year and a half.
Yeah, where did the last year and a half go? Holy man. Actually, we're in a really good spot. We have a new leadership team here at Harley Davidson that is really impressive, and we're following a new strategy that's called Hardwire. And before we got to Hardwire, we rewired the company in a lot of strategic ways. And so we looked under a lot of rocks, around a lot of corners. We've tweaked a lot of things. We've introduced phenomenal new motorcycles like the new Pan America, which is doing extremely well across the world. And we're watching things closely because obviously COVID affected a lot of people. It affected our supply base, and so far though we've been lucky, and we're watching quantities of various parts that go into the motorcycles. But sometimes the difficulty is it's not necessarily our tier 1 suppliers. It might be a tier 2 or a tier 3 that supply products to that tier 1 supplier. Right. And that's where it can get a little ugly, if you will. But knock on wood, so far we're doing pretty well. The demand is great. Our demand is up. I think that's one of the blessings of COVID. If there is a blessing of COVID, is that people want to get outdoors and experience the outdoor world, because it was an area they could go during COVID to experience their own freedom, if you will, and get away from all the other things that were happening. And motorcycling is certainly something that provides that freedom out in the open air. And the whole industry has seen a resurgence, which is really, really good for us.
So, Bill, I wanted to ask you, the Harley Davidson Museum has just, where we're at, has just kind of opened up. Now, you're the guy that when we're sitting here among all these bikes, and it's a fascinating story because all of these bikes are one-offs or bikes that are famous or bikes that have been restored, or because the museum is now up and running, and it feels like life is starting to return a little bit to normal, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. We kind of started out and we're only open on the weekends, and now we're full 7 days. We're back to bike nights.
But you've had 2 of them.
We've had 2 of them.
And they've been successful, yeah.
Been great. We had over 1,000 at the first one. And so that's been just spectacular. And to see a lot of our, regular customers and great customers coming here, and, they're ready to get back out too. And international people traveling, and it's just good to be back and, kind of have that, enjoy that camaraderie that, motorcycling gives us.
So speaking of international travel, you're just back from Scotland.
I am.
And before we went on the air here, you're telling us this fascinating story. So share with those that are viewing this, because you went back in time.
I did. Zap. It was an incredible trip. And the background to this trip was really based on 3 people, each Harley Owners Group members, that are from just outside of Aberdeen, Scotland. And they had a passion for Harley Davidson, and they had heard that there might be an original Davidson homestead in their county, in their village. And so they did a little bit of research and found out that it truly was a Davidson homestead. The homestead was in complete shambles, barely any walls. The roof was caved in. It was in rough shape. And the town was going to bulldoze it. but the 3 hog members convinced the town that they should sell it to them. So the 3 hog members purchased the property and went through and refurbished, redecorated this cottage, and it's now up, and you can stay there, rent it for a night or 2,
Wow.
or however long you want. And I went over there and they handed me the key, and I walked in and I thought, this is pretty emotional for me, because that house was my great grandparents, Sandy and Margaret Alexander, or I'm sorry, Sandy and Margaret Davidson. Sandy's former name was Alexander.
Okay.
And so the history from Sandy and Margaret Davidson, they had 6 children. When they left in 1857 to come over to Wisconsin, one of their children passed away from, I believe it was fever of some sort. So when they got to Wisconsin, they had 5 kids, one of which was the father to the 3 Davidson founders of Harley Davidson, one of which is my great-grandfather.
What an amazing story. So it was the great-great-great-grandfather, and then to be able to go over there and be a part of that. Now, you were there for what, 48 hours? Just to get a sense of that and absorb it?
It was a quick trip. I was over there with our CEO and a couple other people. We were there for multi-purposes besides the cottage. So it was a very quick trip. Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
And so the neat thing was you're showing us the picture of it, which was on your phone.
Yeah.
And there's really none of that out there historically, right? Is there? Or, as far as the archives go?
So we've been aware of this cottage for quite some time. We've did an article in Hog magazine. We actually have a shake, if you will, from the roof that's in our plaza out in Sturgis.
Oh, wow. How cool is that?
Downtown Sturgis, with a little plaque explaining what that is from the original Davidson homestead. But it's pretty amazing. When I walked in there, they said, here's the key, walk in. Like I said, I was pretty emotional because I'm standing in there and I'm thinking, this is pretty rare to be in my great-great-great-grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And where they raised their 6 children. Pretty powerful.
To see that, to where all of this, where we sit today that's where the emotion gets you, right?
Yeah, and just to know that lineage, and I can talk forever about the Davidson family. Obviously, William A., my great-grandfather. My grandfather, who I knew very, very well, William H., was president from 1942 to 72. Willie, my dad, joined the company in 63 and retired. I have to say that carefully because he never really retired. Bill knows that. But he retired in 2012. And I've been here since 1984, and I'm having a blast working with an awesome team of people that are here at the museum, and we have fun here. It's an amazing thing to take a treasure chest of the best motorcycles in the world and share that with people from all walks of life from all over the world. It really is exciting.
This is walking down memory lane, Bill, because you get to do this every day.
Mm-hmm.
So all the bikes in here, they're either one-off, something that was right off of the factory line that has never been ridden. It came right here, or they're famous bikes. We were talking about, what was the bike that you were telling us about before we started the live cast?
So a little background on the collection. A lot of people don't realize is kind of the core of the collection. A majority of the collection are bikes that, going back to the original 4 founders, they saved new off the assembly line and put into this collection. And that's not only motorcycles, but that's marketing literature and clothing and, every negative of every photograph they ever took is in this collection. So, I mean, they weren't hoarders, but they saw that something was there. And that's what's, pretty amazing. So, so then we've supplemented that collection with bikes with stories or bikes that have a unique history or movie bikes. And so our bikes that we were involved, like the movie bike that's on display from the Marvel Captain America movie. We as a company help make those movies for the production company even. So we get involved in all kinds of, amazingly creative things. And so, you never know what's going to happen here on any given day. And it's an amazing collection. And I'm just the guy who's kind of the caretaker at this point in time. There are people before me, there'll be people after me, but I'm just blessed that, they took me from being a car salesman up north to doing this, and then that was a hard decision.
What wows you?
What wows
Because
me?
there's so much in here when you walk around, whether it's really cool police bikes, Marvel comic bikes, but what bike that you got in or that you looked at or you've had a chance to witness that you just said, I can't believe that's here?
Yeah, and that's a pretty deep bucket itself. And we still have things like that come today. Suddenly we'll there's one I'd love to tell you about, but we haven't really quite revealed that yet. But stay tuned.
It could be so huge on this thing.
Yeah, but things like that, do come, and like I always tell people, A, it never gets old, and B, when people say, "What's your favorite bike?" I always say, "What day is it?" Because there are so many. I just can't pick one. And the thing that's really powerful and that is always the most to me, so we don't restore bikes, we do conservation. We take them apart, clean them, put them back together. We don't want to repaint or replate. So, when I work on a 1919 Model J, and I'm the first guy to crack the nuts on that thing in 100 years, that's pretty powerful. And, you'll pull the tank off, and a lot of them will have thumbprints, or, they'll practice the striping that's on the outside, on the inside of the tank. And you get to see these, wonderful craftspeople that built these bikes then, just like we have today in our factory. I mean, people that are building them today are no different than we're doing it back then. And that's an amazing generations of families. I came from a 3-generation Dodge dealer and didn't want to leave my family business. And I actually, I always say I came to the world's greatest family business.
Right.
The family's still here and they're involved, and there's people that work at our plants whose dad and grandfather worked at our plants. And that's a powerful thing.
When you talk about history, Bill, we were reminiscing before about the 100th. That was the ultimate party. And you had talked about the planning, the execution that had to go into that. And I'd asked you, I said, do you think we'll ever see anything like that again? Because there was a buzz and an emotion to it. It wasn't just a party. It was an emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Between the bands that came here and just couldn't believe what was going on, to the people, to the patches from all over the world that we were seeing, whether it was Australia or Korea or Vietnam. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see something like that again?
I would love to see something like that again. And I do think that is doable. The 100th was a milestone for the company after being through a lot of different chapters. To say, congratulations, Harley Davidson, happy birthday, you're 100 years old. That is a significant statement for any company. Certainly in the motorcycle industry, it's pretty rare. And here we are planning for the 120th,
Right.
and 118 years of these great motorcycles. And we have such a unique following from people from all walks of life, from all around the world. Their passion is just pure. It's authentic. They love riding these motorcycles. Riding a Harley Davidson is the best way to see any part of the world, because it gives you that enthusiasm, that inspiration, that excitement, that exhilaration. And it's like watching a movie. What's going to be around that next corner? And it's new, and the people you meet and the places you go. And I think that all adds up to excitement. And if we can channel that excitement in a way where we say, hey, come on home to where this great brand started in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 1903. It's pretty amazing. And I do think if we do some of the things that we orchestrated for the 100th, we could easily pull off another major event, getting our dealers involved, doing cross-country rides, having parties at the dealerships, all across the country, not just in the Milwaukee area, but all across the country. I truly think we could have a great birthday party.
The amazing thing was it was like every member of the family was involved in some way, shape, or form. It seemed like it's everywhere you went, you were running it. I was telling you guys I was with Gene out in Oconomowoc for the antique ride, and everybody else was doing the 10,000 bike long 4-day tour that was going through the middle of Milwaukee. But it was just the neat thing was it was all races, all creeds. It was everybody came together because you were a rider. It didn't matter what you were doing, and it was all different bikes too. People that just wanted to be a part of the celebration and the culture. What is it that makes Harley the special culture?
It's a great question, and I'm often asked that from different media across the world. And there's something very special about Harley Davidson. It's a brand that attracts people, as you indicated and I've indicated, a brand that attracts people from all walks of life, from all over the world. And the product, I think, has a lot to do with that. The look, sound, and feel of our motorcycles are unique, and what Willie did for almost 50 years, styling these iconic motorcycles, is certainly a part of that. But I think also the fact that the company does a very good job of creating experiences, things like the Harley Owners Group, things like our participation in Daytona, things like Sturgis, where we get involved. We ride with our customers. Our dealers are active with our customers. And that's a powerful glue, if you will. It's a common thread that weaves us all together as a family having fun.
Which, incidentally, you say the dealers taking your buddy Craig Winger from Wisconsin Harley, and we're going to Sturgis this year. We were planning on it last year, and then obviously COVID hit, and some did and some didn't go, but it was the 80th last year. Was it the 80th last year?
Yes.
Yeah. So this year being the 81st, but they're actually expecting more people. So we're all heading out this year. So
that'll be fun.
We got an RV. I don't know if I can stand 5 days in an RV with Craig, but we're going to give it a shot. Yeah. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say good luck with that.
But it's amazing to me, the stories. You were talking about your dentist, and I want people that are listening to hear this, because this is the way, and Bill, you had people sleeping on your lawn during the 100th, but this is the way it kind of was in Milwaukee. This is before Airbnb. This is people were putting their houses up, but your dentist ran into people that were just here because they wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. It's truly amazing, and someday I've got to write a book. I've been very fortunate, very honored to travel around the world for Harley Davidson, and the things I've seen, the people I've met, the events I've been to are staggering, and the 100th is one of those events. And my dentist was at a gas station, and he ran into a couple that were looking at a map next to their electric glide, and he went up to him and said, "Can I help you?" And they said, "Well, we're really struggling to find a place to stay because there's a few motorcyclists in town tonight." And he said, "You know what? I got a spare room. Why don't you follow me?" And they were like, "Really? You're going to,
Yeah.
So he put them up, and they've become best of friends. They get together every year and celebrate. And it's pretty neat. And that I think that camaraderie that we all share in this Harley Davidson world is a powerful, unique entity that's part of the Harley Davidson brand DNA.
I think we've all had those type of experiences and those nights where you're out with friends and you're maybe hopping a little bit, or you're just out on a long ride with friends. Then there's the charitable side. And that's what I wanted to get into. I do a ride every year, and it's grown. It started out at 26 bikes, I think, and now we're over 400 for the Fisher House. You guys do so much for MDA, so much for veterans. The charitable side of things, how do you equate the rides? Because it became something that a ride became synonymous with charity. We've got a ride for this, we've got a ride for that. How did it become so synonymous with charity in your eyes? And you know what, Bill, I ask you first, because you ride all kinds of bikes. You ride old bikes, new bikes, whatever, and you're out all the time. So how do you think this became so synonymous with charitable aspects?
Well, first thing, I think it's, a little bit of the people that actually do it. They're great people with great conscience and great values, and they want to help. And so what's the best way to help? The easiest way is doing what you do. And I like to ride motorcycles, and there's got to be something, we have walks and climbs, and, there's all kinds of different things, but, why not ride a bike? And so I think that, it's a great opportunity. It's a good excuse to get people out on motorcycles and socialize and be together. And at the same time you're doing it, raise a bunch of money for a great cause. And they're always a good time. It's fun. That's the other thing. And we've seen that even evolve. I just did a project here with a group of wounded warriors that all had PTSD, and they were brought together because they all had the common denominator of motorcycles. Not all of them owned Harley Davidsons, but they all liked to ride, and they found like that's the only time when they were finally comfortable was when they're out riding. So they did some ride. They're actually going to do a ride here, and we're going to tour them here this summer. And that's a great organization, and just another way that you can use the motorcycle ride to heal and do good. And so I think that's really the backbone of it.
You get asked to do thousands of these things all the time, and I know you guys are big into MDA, but I've been to the Black and Blue Ball, and that's dealers and friends, and that raises millions of dollars. We're not talking about $5,000 or $10,000. I mean, every drop helps, but you guys raise millions of dollars. I don't think people, when they look at Harley, they look at the Harley. You go through pre-AMF, AMF, post-AMF, post-100, but the millions of dollars that have been raised along the way. I mean, if there's anything to be proud of out of a company that your ancestors started, that has to be it.
Well, it certainly is a part of it, and it's powerful. I mean, as Bill stated, we're a company that cares, and we care about our riders, we care about our dealers, we care about our employees, and we like to help others. And when you can put a stake in the ground about helping other people that are in need, whether it's breast cancer, wounded warriors, MDA, Heart Association, whatever it might be, our riders, there's a uniqueness of our riders coming together. It's that community feel that people love about riding together. And as Bill also stated, we've got the best of both worlds, because we can put on an MDA event or raise money for breast cancer awareness, and it's fun. So not only is it a good time and you're socializing with all your buddies and you're riding your Harley Davidsons, we're also raising money for a really good cause, whatever it might be. And it's growing over time. The company did this many, many, many years ago, and we're continuing to do it, and it's great. And it happens around the world. It's not just a USA thing. It's a global entity related to Harley Davidson, where we step in and we have these charity rides and we help other people, and it's an awesome feeling. I have had a neat opportunity to be on stage with some of these MDA ambassadors, these young children, and your heart just goes out to them,
Mm-hmm.
And one time it was in Nashville, and it was a annual hog rally, and the MDA Goodwill ambassador sang the national anthem, and I was next to take the mic.
Mm-hmm.
I was speechless. I had such a lump in my throat that I could not talk. And I will never forget that. That's part of what not just I feel, but our customers feel, our dealers feel. And so it's very rewarding to help others.
So I got a couple of questions that I had to remember, because there was a girl named Terry, and she lives up in Rapids, and she said, when I was doing this today, can you ask them both their preference of ride?
Mm-hmm.
She just got a new Road Glide and said it's one of the best bikes she's ever ridden.
Awesome.
But I told her, when I was on the air today, I said, Bill's rode everything, because he's got all this stuff down here to choose from. So what is your preference of ride?
So I'm a little different. I hear the bikes.
You're a weird dude. I know.
Yeah, I know.
You're a different cat.
Bikes these days start with a button, I'm told. I don't actually even own a bike that's an electric start bike. So my go-to motorcycle is a 1939 EL Knucklehead, pre-war Knucklehead, and that bike I'll get on. I also have two I have a 1914 and a 1915 that I could put my money where my mouth is, because I rode those across the country, coast to coast, both of them. And so I'm a little different breed there,
Yes, you are.
Why do it in a Cadillac when you can do it on a lawnmower? That's my theory.
And what Bill just said is really an amazing feat, to take
Right.
a 1914 or a 1915 and truly ride it across the country is staggering.
Yeah.
Amazing. And he did it. And,
I'll never do it again.
I was going to say, did you enjoy? Was it like when you're riding? Is there a realization of what it is you're doing, or is it
about Oklahoma? That's where you figure it out.
Yeah, okay, I was going to say, and then at some point you think to yourself, "Yeah, I could use."
I'm only halfway there. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And you did it just because?
We did it with a group of us. Yeah,
Okay.
a bunch of us, and they do it every 2 years. So it's kind of one of those. I did it because I guess I'm one of the sillier ones, but yeah, and it's hardest, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, for sure.
I started out on a Dyna, and until I was told I looked like one of the fat Texas twins riding a moped, and I needed an upgrade. So, which my buddy Carmelo told me that, but I wanted something, no windshield, the complete feel of what it was just as a motorcycle.
Yep.
And then as time goes on, you realize, wait a minute, there's a radio. Okay, I like that, and then there's XM, and then there's iTunes, and then there's and then there's comfort. And so I guess as age hits, the comfort level hits. So what did you start out on, and what do you ride? What's your choice today?
So that's quite a bit of history, but I started riding when I was 5 years old on a Harley Davidson M50. And
didn't we all at 5? Holy mackerel.
My father was my mentor, my instructor. He actually was sitting on the back of the M50, and I'm driving like this, and all of a sudden he leaps off, and I'm like, whoa. And I will never forget that moment, because at that given moment, you feel that, even at 5, you feel that sense of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got control of those handlebars and the throttle and the braking and everything. So that's when I started, and I've been collecting, if you will, my entire life. I've got a little man cave with some treasures in it, one of which is 36 knuckle that Bill has worked on for me, which is awesome. And I love riding that. I love riding tank shifts. And what's really amazing is to get off 36 EL tank shift foot clutch, or not a foot clutch, and go to a 2021 foot clutch, standard clutch,
yes,
throttle, brakes, and it's like, whoa, we have made some amazing
right?
innovations and improvements.
Yeah.
But I love riding old, new, and everything in between. I'm people ask me what's my favorite motorcycle, and I'm quick to respond, all Harley Davidsons.
Yeah. I don't blame you. You're right about the freedom, about the passion, about everything that goes along with it. So when you originally thought the 100th is coming, and then all of the plans went into place, and this building was thought of, it was constructed, and we watched it all, living in Milwaukee, we watched it all grow up. Everything it seemed like everything blossomed, if that's the best way for it. It just was this plant that was there, and it all blossomed in one spectacular week. Did you ever see, was this the forecast? Was this the vision growing up of saying, watching Dad and watching this company grow? Was this the vision, or was it just, we got to figure out a way to continually innovate and be better bike builders? Because you went through everything, and then you can even get into the custom side of things when custom bikes were so big, and the bike build offs, and that sent the motorcycling industry skyrocketing as well. But this all seems to withstand the test of time.
It does. You walk through this treasure chest, this museum, and it's a story of hardworking people that wanted to see an American icon continue. And we all want to see it continue. And there's so much passion amongst our employees, amongst our dealers, and our customers, that when you bring that all together, it's a very powerful ingredient. It's a powerful formula because you work with your dealers to sell our product. We try and do the very best we can at building the best products we possibly can. Not only motorcycles, but parts and accessories, clothing, the Harley Owners Group, and we deliver. And the dealers help us, obviously, and they play a very critical role. And God bless our dealer network, because they are the best in the world at what they do. They are phenomenal. And our customers as well. They are passionate about what they ride, how it looks, how they can customize it. And the other thing that we love is we love the trust that we have in our customers to get back honest feedback. If they don't like something, we want to hear about it so that we can go to work to change it, to innovate, to surprise them with delight. So, your question around, did we have this planned? To a certain degree, but you never know what might happen in the world. The COVID is a perfect example. We had a strategy, and all of a sudden the world is hit by a pandemic, and we had to go into a reactive mode to ensure that this big ship of Harley Davidson was going to continue to sail straight forward. But what always amazes me, and you can see it in the museum over time, and I mentioned it before, is how people come together and use their smart thinking, their focus, to do the very best. They may not know if it's going to work or not, but they give it their all. And we have been very successful doing that since 1903. I mean, even the founders did that kind of thing. If something didn't work, they ran into a roadblock, they did whatever they could to figure that out. They were not going to give up. They were driven for success.
And they were pretty brilliant guys when you really think about it too. Just the foundation they did lay. Each brought their own little perfect storm. You had a marketing guy, you had a manufacturing guy, you had an engineering guy, and you had a dealer development guy. And so you think, early on in the company, 1913, you're only 10 years old, and there's 75 motorcycle manufacturers in the United States. There's a dozen in Milwaukee. You'd be happy to sell a motorcycle in Madison. And we're selling bikes in Japan because, Arthur Davidson had the forethought to get on a train, go to LA, get on a steamship, go to Japan, and talk some guy out of his life savings to say, you're going to sell motorcycles made in Milwaukee. And that's amazing stuff. That's, look, honey, I got magic beans. We're going to be a Harley dealer.
Right.
And, that's salesmanship, and that's, believing in your product and believing that, why just sell next door? Let's go do this globally. And so, we've been through world wars, we've been through depressions, we've been through, inflation, we've been through all these crazy things and buyouts and buybacks. And, that's what's, so, even when the pandemic hit, we're like, oh, wow, here's something we've never had before. And we had a son of an ex-dealer says, hey, I found this picture in my dad's collection, and he sends it to us, and it's this yard-long picture of the 1919 Harley-Davidson dealer convention in San Francisco, and they all got masks on because it was in the middle of a flu pandemic, and we're like, oh yeah, we've done pandemics too. We survived that. We're still here. So we've got that picture blown up, and it's in our lobby, and just to like, yep, there's, we're really I always say we're the Forrest Gump of motorcycle companies. We've been there at, inaugurations and it doesn't matter what it is, you'll see, assassinations. We were in the motorcade when Kennedy was shot. It's really truly it's beyond words.
We've seen it at Super Bowls.
Yep.
You were a part of which Super Bowl was that?
Oh man.
23, I think.
Was it 23?
Yeah, 20. So whenever the Bengals played the 49ers.
Yeah, down in Miami.
Yeah.
Then it was Joe Robbie Stadium.
Yes.
Yep.
And there was
Robbie
unrest.
Stadium.
There was unrest down there in Miami.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, at the time.
Yes.
They were fearful that it might not even be played.
Yeah. And I was fearful a little bit because riding around in Miami at the time, it was not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was infamous for two reasons. Being a kid that grew up in Cincinnati, There was Stanley Wilson, who the night before the game got caught with a pound of blow in his room. And then that was the infamous game with John Candy that Joe Montana was going to take the team down for the final drive, but he looks over and said, "That's John Candy over there." And,
in the huddle, yeah.
In the huddle. And then they're like, "Come on, focus." He's like, "No, we're gonna score, but that's John Candy over there, man." That's that game. You guys are a part of that too. And you guys have done so much. And when you talk about the stars and the celebrities, you just had, what was it, Katy Perry? That was
Katy Perry. We did a
here?
thing. She did a song, Harley's in Hawaii. And so to kind of promote that, we shot a little promo piece up here, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And yeah, we've got all kinds of,
Elvis had a Harley.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, go all the way back to the
Harley
King.
Davidson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The star power. I mean, and obviously all the different bands, everything from Aerosmith to Styx and all these different rock groups, the Stones. And
I'm here one day, and all of a sudden there's a bus on our lawn out here, and I'm like, "Who let this bus park on the lawn? Where's security?" And then they're like, "Oh no, that's he's with Bill." And so I'm up here, and all of a sudden off the elevator, it's Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, and
oh my goodness,
he had a camera, he's taking pictures. This place is great, and just because it's such a universal brand, and everybody loves it, and gearheads and rock stars and everything.
How often do you get called from the moguls, whether it's rock stars, movies, to say, "We need something, develop something, or give us something that might fit this"? Does it?
It's frequent.
Yeah.
And our marketing division is very well in tune with that whole environment as well. So it's may not be a surprise. It could be a surprise, but we're strategic in how we utilize actors, actresses, rock and roll, country. I mean, the whole gamut. And it's amazing how many people are truly passionate about Harley Davidson. That this isn't just a gimmick for 6 months.
Yeah.
This is something they absolutely love to do. Jason Momoa, Aquaman. Right. He's been riding his whole life. He's got a couple of beautiful old knuckles and shovelhead sidecars. Or no, is that?
Yeah, he's got. Yeah, that's Panhead, the sidecar. But yeah, another guy.
Aquaman, for those that are going Jason Momoa.
Honest to God, he's up here. I didn't know who he was. That's how much I know. And then they go, "Oh," and he's just like, "Well," and I'll tell a funny story. I thought he was from the TV show Survivor. Because he had it was in the middle of winter, and he had a Hawaiian shirt and flip flops on, and so he's walking around here, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, they kicked you off the island." Well, I didn't know that he lives in Hawaii, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, this place is great," and he's just, and so he when he lands in Milwaukee, the first thing he is like, "Take me there," and so they'll have to call and like, "Hey, we got him here," and you got to have security around him because it's just, people follow him, and but he is like 110% all in. He's not. It's not a cash grab or something like that for him. He's a hardcore.
So, all the years, your phone rings and it says, "Bill, it's on the line." Who's the short of maybe a president or a world leader?
Oh man, there's been quite a few, and this is why I need to write the book.
Yeah.
But several years ago, I actually ran our entertainment marketing for the motor company. And a couple guys showed up at our engine plant, which was still off of Capitol Drive here in Wauwatosa. Now we're off of Pilgrim Road in a newer building. And security said, "There's a couple of guys here. They just stopped in. They're in town playing tonight. And can you come out?" And I said, "Do you happen to know who it might be?" And the security guard said, "Something like U2." And I said, "I'll be right there." And it was Larry Mullen in the Edge. And I walked Larry and the Edge through the plant. They were both motorcyclists and had a passion for bikes and Harleys. And it was neat because it started a lifelong friendship.
Yeah.
And, I've been to many events with those guys, and they're awesome people and very authentic and real. Larry's been to Daytona with me, and it's just it's really fun.
Are we going to see you at Sturgis this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to ride out. Absolutely. I didn't go last year because of the pandemic, but I've got the itch. I want to go to Sturgis. It's a fun event. It's and beautiful area. The Black Hills is a phenomenal area to ride through, and lot to do out there as well.
You're taking one like a 1903 bike, no seat. You're going to stand up the whole way and go.
No. I don't know what I'm going to take this year, but I love to go, and I got a very close friend that owns a campground there, so I got a place to stay, and I kind of go the first weekend, and I love it as well. And then reunite with a bunch of people you don't get to see, and speaking of people, I forgot even Robert Patrick, the actor, who the T-1000 and the Terminator and all the movies, million movies he's been in. He's a Harley dealer. He owns a dealership. That's how all in he is. Yeah. So, and he's always at Sturgis, and just a regular guy, but if he's not working, he'll be there.
I could sit and pick brains and talk about all the bikes and stuff for hours and hours, but I appreciate the time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
I can't say thanks enough.
You bet.
Bill, I'm going to be at your tailgate at the Packers games. By the way, he's a Packers season ticket holder, and
so's Bill.
Yes, I am.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I bet you your van is nicer than his van.
No way. He's got the best van and the best food. They know how to tailgate.
I brought up some friends from Ohio, and my buddy says, well, what do we do? Because I had to go inside when I was working for the Packers at the time for the network, and I said, well, I'm going to drop you off, and I took him to Bill's tailgate. And it was about 5 minutes before kickoff. And my buddy texted me, said, I can't keep up. You people should go pro. He said, okay, I'm out. So the tailgate parties are great. So we want to say thanks to everybody for joining us and watching tonight from the Harley Davidson Museum. The museum's open 7 days a week now.
You bet.
They get a hold of the website and get tickets, and everything's going. And the bike nights are back.
Bike nights are back.
Thursday nights.
HDmuseum.com. You can check that out, and it'll tell you all our upcoming events. We just had a big merchandise sale here last weekend. Got a lot of great stuff coming up all summer.
And another 120 years, but
120 years.
On the 120th, at least give me a pass to something. Okay, just give me a pass to something. That's all I ask.
You got it.
So for all of us here, Bill Davidson, Bill
Rodencal,
Rodencal, whatever it is you want to call him, because I've had 3 people tell me different. Thanks for joining us.